Shalom, dear friends. We're holding by the Kitzer Lekutey Moharan, number 23. This lesson speaks about financial difficulties, lust, purity, and more. There exists, it starts out, Tzivisa Sedek. You commanded righteousness, it says in the Psalms 119. Yesh panim l'kedusha shehem anpi nihirin b'chinas chaim k'mo shekasav b'ora p'nei melech chaim, says in Mishlei. There exists a face of holiness, a radiant face, the aspect of life, as it is written, in the light of the face of the king is life, as it says in Proverbs. This face is also associated with joy. These three concepts are connected to truth and faith, and through these later two qualities a person merits long life. Conversely, falsehood shortens a person's days, since falsehood is identified with a darkened face, the face of the other side, with depression, idolatry, and other gods, all of which are associated with death and sadness. May Hashem save us. Okay, so joy and long life are associated with truth, emes ve'emunah, and faith. People who succumb to money, lust, who do not believe that the Holy One, blessed be He, can sustain a person with only a small amount of effort on that person's part, who chase after their livelihood with enormous effort, who eat their bread in sadness, it says in Bereshis, and who replete with downheartedness and depression. These people who are attached to the face of the other side, they're attached to the other side, to the darkened face, to depression, sadness, and death. May Hashem save us. On the other hand, those people who conduct their business matters faithfully prevail in their own minds to be happy with their portion, who truly know and believe with perfect faith that livelihood and wealth come only from Hashem, but that Hashem simply wants them to make some minimal effort to earn their livelihood, even though livelihood and money essentially come from Hashem alone. These people are attached to the light of the face of holiness, to the radiant face, which is life and joy. So, conducting one's business with faith in God, that they're honest, dealing with other people, and they're happy with their portion, whatever it should be. They know that it's not their effort. Obviously, a person must work hard, but it's not their effort in the end that gives them the money, but it's God. Because a person's money could be lost, and things can turn the other way in their business. So a person who has faith, he's going to be eating in joy. One who has money lust and only cares about the money and not God, doesn't bring God into in honesty into their business, they're going to eat in sadness. They can have money, but it'll never be enough. They'll always be crying for more. They're not going to be satisfied. They're always going to be worried. But the person who has trust in God, he is going to have what he needs. A person who is sunken in the desire for money, which is a tantamount to idolatry, does not worship just one idol. Rather, he worships all the idols of the 70 Gentile nations. For all the idolatry of all the 70 nations is based on money, which explains why the God of each idolatrous nation is engraved on its money. In the lament for those who have succumbed to money lust, the Divine Presence shrieks twice 70. That is 140 cries corresponding to the numerical value of mammon, money. Adding one additional unit for each of the word's 4 letters. The Divine Presence cries out twice 70, not just 70 times, because each form of idolatry that the desire for money includes elicits 2 kinds of cries, namely, heavy is my head, heavy is my arm. In the rich Shehem Shnei Minei Koilosh Kalani Miroishi Kalani Mizmoni B'chol Kol hu bechina shivin kolin shel hayoledes shetzaricha lizbo chevle leida tzricha litzok shivin kolin koidim haleida shekolim is an oisa kiflayim kayoleida, says some stuff. Okay, so each of these two cries in tone 70 times to correspond to 70 cries of the birthing mother when she must endure the pain of childbirth. She must scream 70 times before she delivers. This is in lesson 21. Therefore, our sages state earning one's livelihood is twice as difficult as childbirth. It says in Pesachim, right? Because there's these two cries, 140 cries. In when it comes to money, more cries. I believe it's 70 when it comes to the mother. Actually, he's going to speak of that in a moment. But to clarify, so the lust of money is rooted in all the nations of the world, all the 70 nations of the world. That's how Tumah, it's like they put it on their money, on their bills. They put it on their coins, their faces, because it's all, this is one of the highest level of gaiva and idolatry and lust. So before people can profit financially, they must undergo experience, be tested and be refined in the path of these 140 cries. They need to cry out and pray to God a great deal to survive them in peace and to be saved from them. For in actuality, all profit may be termed a birth, and all influx of bounty into the world is brought down only by breaking the desire for money. Breaking desire for money in turn is the concept of truth. MS. The concept of MS stands. Bechinas kushta koe. Gamar chachmenu son uvracha hayikum asher beraglehem. Zem mano shel adam sheme'amido al raglov. Breaking the desire for money and truth is the concept of truth. The concept of truth stands. It says in Shabbos, as our sage of Memory said, the substance which is at their feet. This refers to a person's money, which stands him on his feet. It says Pesachim. And a person stands on his feet, meaning he has livelihood through truth, as in truth stands. On the other hand, falsehood does not stand. It says in Shabbos and Talmud. Since falsehood is idolatry, which is the same thing as money lust. As our sage of blessed memory said, when a person goes back on his word, it is as if he worshipped an idol. It says in Sanhedrin. Thus, through falsehood, that is money lust, a person lacks all maintenance and support, because idolatry is another god. And Enuch, which does not bear fruit, it says in the Zohar 2:103. In other words, all the fruits reaped by people who are sunken in money lust are nothing but a lie. They imagine that they are profiting, yet they are not profiting, and they chase after money with enormous energy. Furthermore, even when they do have money temporarily, in actuality their money is not money at all, for they have no enjoyment whatsoever from their money, since they cannot satisfy their craving in their lifetime. The more money they make, the more they feel they are lacking. Then afterwards, they die as debtors. Therefore, it is impossible to draw influx of bounty down into the world and to make money. That is holy money, whereby a person is happy with his portion, which is the real meaning of wealth. As Sage of Blessed Mary said in Avos 4:1, except by breaking the money of the desire for money. Right? A person is not wealthy unless they're actually happy with their money. Not going to be happy with their money when it's coming from the lustful craving of money, where they're not satisfied with their lot. Right? He who is the happy person, he is sameach v'chelko, he is happy with what he has. This is connected to the concept of truth, because a person must conduct his business dealings with truthfully and faithfully, and he must break and nullify all the nagging thoughts about money and all his desire for it, which well up in him as he transacts his business. Instead, his entire intention in making money should be for God alone, so that he will be able to serve Hashem with all the money he earns, to give charity, to support those who serve God in Torah study, in prayer, and raise up children to Torah study, and to have money to pay for other mitzvos. That should be his desire. He should be craving the money only to perform mitzvos, right? But even then, he shouldn't crave it. He should do his best. He should look at it in truthfulness. That only he needs it to serve God, but not in a way of lust, not in a way of craving and not feeling satisfied. And a person, he thinks that he's making money, so he works harder and harder and harder. He doesn't understand that God allotted for him a certain portion on Rosh Hashanah. So yes, you should work hard. Anything you do in life, I always tell people, give it 100%. Give it 100% so you feel good what you're doing. Okay, but don't give that 100% thinking that you're going to make more money because of that 100% necessarily. God will take care of you. You need to give the 100% to Torah first. And also, when you do your job, you should do it honestly. That's what does it mean, doing business honestly? Giving 100% in an honest way, which is what people struggle with the most. Right? They're always shortcutting the customers or trying to find ways to advertise in ways to trick or to side pass things. But when a person goes and they don't and they're truthful, then God is they're gonna be happy with their lot. Right? If your customer is happy with you sold them the right purchase, okay, then you're going to feel good about what you're doing, right? When they say marketing, a person who's successful in marketing, he should market a product that he believes in, okay? Then he can put his 100% in there. If he's marketing a product that he doesn't really believe in, he's never really going to market it well. So when you're doing business truthfully, you're going to see that blessing coming in what you're doing and in that business. But when you're doing dishonestly, it's gonna hit you back. Right, because it says falsehood does not stand. It says in Shabbos. Know that through sexual purity, a person is rescued from the face of the other side, which is money lust, idolatry, darkness, a darkened face, and death. Right, because a person is not pure in yesod, in purity, in the bris, and in the mindset, this is causing that more lust for money. Instead, he's attached to godliness, as written, "For my flesh I will look upon Hashem." Such a person is sated with joy, with Hashem's face, for the light of the face of the King, which is life, radiates and shines upon that person who is pure, right? Who's following purity. He's going to have the light of Hashem's face on him. The critical thing is to draw close to true tzaddikim, the sages, who maintain this type of purity to absolute perfection. Then a person will be saved from the desire of money. Therefore, when people oppose the true sage and the Holy One, he wants to drive off the sage's enemies. He topples them into the desire of money. For there is no greater downfall than this, may Hashem save us. The general principle is that whenever there is conflict among Jews, whoever possesses the greater level of purity can throw down his opponent into the desire for money. The reason for this is that all the Jews are called sages, tzaddikim, since they are circumcised, it says in the Zohar. And thus, to some degree, they have this capacity that the tzaddikim, the sages, have. The paradigm of this principle, however, is that the true tzaddik, sage, who maintains his sexual purity is to absolute perfection, as well as those who are close to the sage can topple their opponents from their levels. And when the later fall, they fall into the desire for money. Therefore, a person must be extremely careful when he encounters opposition from other people, so that he does not succumb to the desire of money. Chas v'sholom, God forbid. For it may be that the person opposing him represents a face of holiness in comparison with him. Therefore, his opponent has the power to topple him into money lust. Therefore, a person should be pure, so therefore they're going to be able to go and win over their opponents. They have to have sexual purity and purity of mind. Amen. The desire for money is described by the verse, "I find women more bitter than death," says the Salty. This desire is associated with the spleen, with the there's an angel, it starts with the letter L, I don't like saying the word, the impure spiritual force of which is of sexual pollution, who is the mother of the mixed multitude, with the game of an idiot. For all the money and wealth of the rich, who do not act as they should, and who do not give sufficient charity, considering the wealth that they possess, and who are caught up in the love of money and in the rat race. All their money and wealth is like a game of an idiot. Initially, their money plays with them the way one amuses a child with coins, and subsequently the money kills them. This is the meaning of the teaching, the game of an idiot. Who is the idiot? This is another god. This is the diphtheria that afflicts the children who are wicked. It smiles at them with wealth in this world and subsequently kills them. And why are such people called children? Because they do not have the wisdom to flee from it. But the understanding heart will flee from it. This is the tzaddik, the sage. The secret lies on the verse, one who does good before Hashem will escape from her, and the sinner will be caught, it says in Socrates. The explanation of this is that the true tzaddik sage merits wisdom and knowledge, and he knows how to be saved from this money lust. For even very bad people require tremendous wisdom and knowledge when it comes to the struggle for money and livelihood, so as not to squander away and waste their lives on this pursuit, God forbid. Most of the world, however, is caught up in this trap. And consequently, they suffer terrible bitterness all their lives in both worlds in this process. Right? So great can be this lust and desire for money that a person will lose not only this world, but the world to come. Right? They're living in complete sadness because all they think they believe that they have the power to give themselves financial greatness, and they don't realize that God is behind everything. And they start to act not truthfully in their business, doing it and taking shortcuts. They leave God out of it. They put the business first, and this is not the right way, and so they're miserable. When you put Torah first, when you put charity first, you see the wealthy people, many times they're giving the least amount of charity. You see very big known billionaires, okay? It looks like they're giving a lot of money. They're giving $1 million charity a year, but when they have billions, this is nothing. So they're so caught in their lust, and they think that they're so great. And so when you put the Torah first, when you put God first, and then money second, and you do with your money truthfully, and you care about people, you're giving charity, then you're going to keep that wealth. Then Hashem's going to want you to be happy in your wealth. And wealth without happiness, what is it? And so people are flying after the wealth, and they're not happy with what they're doing, with their job, they're shortcoming up, cutting other businesses to get where they are. And this is not a way of truth. It's not a way of being happy with your money. You see, whenever you give charity, when you give a large amount of charity to people, and you're good with your money to be kind to people, you're going to see that you're going to have happiness in and Hashem's going to help you to keep it. So a person must know that this world is replete with unlimited bitterness. What is called the world's bitterness, it says in the Zohar. And the essence of this bitterness is the worry, struggle, and craving for money and livelihood that result from a person's having blemished his sexual purity. May God save us. Were it not for the power of the greatest sages who guard their purity, those who are called the eternal covenant of salt, the world could not exist at all due to this enormous bitterness which is the desire of money. Therefore, each person, to the degree that he merits to draw close to the true sages, sweetens the spirits for himself. However, a person who is far from the sages and who is far from purity, as he himself knows in his own heart, not to mention that he also attacks and opposes the true sages and his followers, God forbid, this person is overpowered more and more by the bitterness of this world, which is the struggle for and worry about money until it consumes his entire life. May God save us. Right? The sages are not attached to this difficulty. So therefore, if you're close to the sages, you get advice from the sages on how to go and not crave money, how to put Torah first and Yiddishkeit first. You're going to go and not be caught in that lust anymore. So you have to go to the sages and spend time with them. Pay careful attention to these words, because a great many souls indeed have sunk in this way. Perhaps you will be able to flee to the true sage, to rescue yourself from the rushing floodwaters of money, lust, to follow in the wake of sexual pollution, so that the floodwaters do not overtake you. Then you'll be saved. You'll save your life. You'll merit true life in this world and the world to come. A holy life is described by the verse, one who has found a woman has found good, it says in Proverbs, which is the aspect of the true sage, as is written, say to the tzaddik, the sage, that he is good, it says in Isaiah. To explain, a person's livelihood is anonymous to a woman, as evinced by the statement of our sages of blessed memory. When someone impinges upon another's livelihood, it is as if he lay with his wife, it says in Sanhedrin. And good is identified with light, as is written, and the light was good, it says in Bereshit. This light is the light of the face, which is the faith in Hashem. As is written, Hashem will shine upon you, Isaiah. Faith in turn is the concept of the end of days, since all the other character traits are based on it. As our sages of blessed memory said, Habakkuk came and stood them all on one foundation. The tzaddik will live by his faith, it says in Habakkuk 2:4. Faith is the foundation and root of all holiness, and through truth a person comes to faith. Specifically, this is the faith whereby a person conducts his business faithfully, and he merits this faith by fortifying himself and drawing close to the true sage. Additionally, by fulfilling the mitzvah of mezuzah, the desire for and attraction for money is nullified, and a person's livelihood flies right to him, coming to him easily. This is alluded to by the teaching of the sage of blessed memory. All the 10 commandments are hinted at within the Shema and the 10th commandment, do not covet. corresponds to you shall write them upon your doorposts of your house, says in your Yerushalmi Brachos. Because through the mitzvah mezuzah, the love of money is nullified. This is the reason the mezuzah is affixed to the upper third of the doorpost. It says in Shulchan Aruch, as our sage of blessed memory said, a person should always divide his money into thirds: a third in business, a third in land, and a third to keep in cash. This is Bava Metzia, right? So that's the connection to the mezuzah, which is placed in the upper third. The upper third of the doorway corresponds to the third invested in business. As the sage of blessed memory stated, 50 producing is better than 200 sitting idle. It says in Yerushalmi Peh. Thus, the third invested in business is the most productive. That is the upper third. The essence of a person's faith is how he conducts his business. As the sage of blessed memory said, when a person is brought to judgment, he is asked, "Did you conduct your business faithfully?" It says in Shabbos. It emerges that the area of a person's monetary affairs which necessitates the most faith is the upper third. That is the third that he invests in business. Right? So it said you put 1/3 in land. A sager telling you how to handle your money. Don't put it all in one basket. Right? Did that with stocks many times. We'll invest in stocks, put it all in one basket, and then it disappears. So you should put 1/3 in business, 1/3 in land, and 1/3 you should keep in cash, in Mezuman, right? You have to be liquid, so you got to have a third. Everything's in the Talmud. Everything we need to know how to do business and live our life. Right? So when you conduct your business with faith and truthfulness, that's the upper third. That's the most important. That's where the mezuzah is, on the upper third. That's the most important of all. It's not the cash, it's not the land. How you conduct yourself in business, in the real world, dealing with people, making sure you don't cheat your partners. This is what's most important. Regarding all the mitzvahs that a person performs without money, meaning that he does not want to spend any money in order to perform the mitzvah, these mitzvahs still lack perfection, since it is not yet an aspect of faith. But when a mitzvah is so precious to a person that he does not mind the monetary loss involved in performing it, he spends money freely for its sake, it is called faith, emunah. For faith is mainly in money, specifically when a person breaks his desire for money, which is where the face of holiness is found. Therefore, I had to go and I was financially stuck a couple years ago. I had to buy a set of shas of all the Talmuds. I said, I'm going to do faith. I'm going to have some faith here and put that money in the Talmuds, and I'm not going to worry about it. So a person does mitzvahs, and he goes and he has emunah, and he goes and he puts the money he needs to go and do that mitzvah properly. He's going to get it back. Therefore, don't think twice when it comes to buying tzitzis, tefillin. Go and do the mitzvahs properly. You're going to get it back. You're going to break that you're going to have that faith in God, and therefore you're going to be attached to the holiness, and Hashem's going to take care of you. For all those who are sunken in money lust, the more money they have, the more sad, depressed, and worried they are. As stated in the dictum, the more money, the more money. It says in Avos 2:7. Therefore, money cuts short and it consumes these people's days and indeed their entire lives. Since nothing wastes a person's vitality like worry, sadness, as is known to students of healing. Right? So the more money a person has, the more sad they generally are. Go ask the wealthy people. Most of them are very sad with their life. They're not happy whatsoever. They don't trust anyone. They believe everyone's after the money. They're always worried about it. Rabbi Nachman says, maybe he's going to say it now or in another place, the more money a person has, the more he has to invest it, outsource his money. Therefore, the money's further from him. So he doesn't even feel like the money's even with him because it's always invested and all over the place. And then the next thing you know, he's in foreign banks. It's out. So where's his money anymore? How's he happy? And he has got to worry about it. This person's going to take it. Why is this person my friend? Does he want my money? Right, so therefore money cuts short and consumes these people's days, indeed their entire lives. Since nothing wastes a person's vitality like worry and sadness is known to students of healing. Accordingly, this person is bound to the face of the other side, to other gods, death, depression, and idolatry, which is called a debt and obligation, because it brings everything over to the side of debt. All who cleave to this craving are perpetually in debt. We see for ourselves how this burden hangs around people's necks, so that they are not satisfied with money that they have, and therefore they borrow from others. Then they imagine that they are reaping large profits. Eventually they die as debtors. And if they do not die as debtors, in literal sense, that they own money to other people, they are nonetheless debtors to their idolatrous desire and craving for great wealth. So if it's not that they went and took more loans in order to go and do more business where they owe more and more money, they had to buy this big house, and they had to take a bigger mortgage from the bank. So they think they actually own the house, but the bank owns the house. Okay, so if they don't even take on the debts, they're going to feel the debts inside themselves because they're so craving and it's attached to this idolatrous nature. Because money is like idolatry when you crave it, when you put it first. When you put it second, there's something wrong with it. Okay, first you put Torah, then you put the money secondly. After good deeds, after charity. then you're going to go and reap the benefits of the money. You're going to feel happy about it. We observe for ourselves too that even people who have enough money to live on, indeed even the rich and the enormously wealthy, still spend all their days chasing after profits with great effort. Right? They never go and say, okay, I have enough money, let me go and study, let me relax. No, they want more and more and more. I have to protect the money, I have to make sure it's still coming in. So they expose themselves to perilous journeys, travel frequently from place to place, endure great struggles and hardship for money, as if they had some enormous debt to pay hanging around their necks. In reality, the only debt they owe is to themselves, that is, to their craving, their idolatry. Since they are so possessed by the desire for money that it is as if they owed some great sum. Essentially, they are debtors all their lives, and they die as debtors to their own desire. For all their days are insufficient to pay this debt that they owe to their desire, since the craving for money has no limits or bounds, as in, a person dies only half of his desires fulfilled, it says in Koheles Rabbah. This whole idea is expressed in the verse, they will not live out half their days, but I will trust in you, it says in the Psalms. In other words, a person who is sunken in money lust does not trust in God, since he worships an idol. But I will trust in you, that you can provide for me with my livelihood, with even the most minimal effort on my part. And I will be happy with my portion and not be sunken in the desire for money. In fact, there is another way to rectify the desire for money, and that is to look to the source for which all money and all influence of bounty comes into this world. When a person looks there, his desire is nullified. The reason for this is because there, at its source, this influence is essentially pure ethereal light and spiritual pleasure. It only becomes corporeal down below in this world. Right? So at its source above, with the right intent, with truthfulness and faith, it is all pure, the money. It's only when it starts to come down here that it gets confused. And who is so foolish as to leave such a place and cast aside spiritual delight in favor of material pleasure? It is impossible to look to that place, however, without first achieving sexual purity. As written, for my flesh I will look upon Hashem, it says in Eov. So once a person goes and they are pure, and they have the tikkun of bris, and purity, sexual purity, they're going to be able to go and look and say, okay, you know what? Now I start to see that the pureness of the money, that's coming from God, that I don't have to crave it, that I have to do charity, I have to be kind and be truthful in business, and that it's God who makes things work. It's not me and all my 200% and all that stuff. Though you have to be righteous in transactions. No, it's not me that's making this come down. It's from a pure source to be used for purity, to help people. In other words, it is first necessary to sanctify the flesh, and then a person can look upon godliness. For this reason, the main rectification for money lust is sexual purity. And when a person has purified himself in this way, it is impossible for him to succumb to the desire for money. Thank you so much. There's so much more to talk about on this topic, but already we had enough from Rabbi Nachman. We'll do another video to explain more. Thank you so much, and I hope that you do your business with righteousness and not live a life that's attached, we heard, to the 70 nations, to idolatry, where money is first in your eyes. But no, people should be first. God should be first. The Torah should be first. And then you'll find blessing. And you'll find blessing. And you'll reach the level where you'll see the pureness of it instead of the impurities. And there's majority of people, they're chasing after the impurities. Shalom, shalom from Jerusalem. Thank you. Please share.